1 week in and 47's on a hot streak. Saturday, he decided to test his luck at a craps table in Vegas.
Not bad. I got it.
Primetime never thought we'd see a sitting president in a casino, but as Politico puts it, Trump is everywhere again. As fast as the movers changed out the White House furniture, the country went from an invisible president, unable to command the spotlight, to an omnipresent one who wants the public's attention at all times. Trump's bringing head-snapping change to Washington, overwhelming the system with a volcanic eruption of action. Axios says, quote, no modern president has done more across more areas of American policy, culture, and life than Trump in the past 6 days. The president hasn't even had the time to pick up his cell. Before last week, if you had Trump's number, good chance he'd pick up and talk. Not anymore. Axios says friends can't even get a hold of him. He wants to focus more on work. Trump World says the president has a chip on his shoulder. His new motto, F-A-F-O. That means F around and find out. And a lot of people are finding out. The 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, are landing at the border alongside almost 2,000 members of the U.S. military. And from L.A. to Georgia to Chicago, border czar Tom Homan and his crew are busting up migrant gang hotspots. Almost 1,000 illegals were detained just yesterday. Overnight, agents rounded up dozens of Tren de Agua gangbangers at a makeshift nightclub in Denver before they could even finish their Coronas. They were caught holding drugs and guns when DEA kicked the door down. In New York, a migrant with ties to ISIS was cuffed and stuffed in a paddy wagon. Biden was just letting the guy hang out. Members of MS-13, some wanted for homicide, were scooped up in Boston. Homan says it was a good day, and they're just getting started.
I want to go back to those military flights going south. As you said, we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table.
Trump wants the removals to go faster, pushing Homan to hit quotas, 1,500 a day. Almost the end of the month. You got to hit your numbers, Tommy. Homan says he's planning on making the president a lot happier. Haitians in Springfield are hunkering down, waiting for Homan to drop the hammer. There's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide.
What criminals are hiding in schools?
Look,
middle schools, elementary schools. You going to go into those?
How many MS-13 members are the age of 14 to 17? Many of them. So, look, if it's a national security threat, public safety threat, and what you need to understand is a case by case. Name another agency, another law enforcement agency that has those type of requirements that they can't walk into a school or a doctor's office or a medical campus. No other agencies held to those standards. The message needs to be clear. There's consequences for entering a country illegally. If we don't show there's consequences, you're never going to fix the border problem.
Police can arrest Americans in schools. Why can't ICE arrest illegals there? The media is complaining and Hollywood's crying. Actress Selena Gomez, who's half Mexican, is very upset that dangerous illegals are being booted out of the country. Tom Homan says, sorry, not sorry.
We're going to do this job, and we're going to enforce the laws of this country. If they don't like it, then go to Congress and change the law. We're going to do this operational apology. We're going to make our community safer. We're going to save. Once we lock that border on continuous operation, you're going to see fentanyl deaths decrease, illegal alien crime decrease, sex trafficking decrease. It's just all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward.
The media is still taking the side of foreign nationals. Margaret Brennan at CBS says, come on, JD. Many of these illegals were vetted.
I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted.
That was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Sunday was the first time a foreign country told Trump it wouldn't accept their migrant criminals back. 2 American military aircraft were in the air, headed to Colombia. The planes were packed with some bad hombres. Colombian nationals convicted of murder, trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, sexual assault, narcotics. The Colombian president refused to let the planes land, saying Trump was treating Colombians in an undignified fashion by putting Colombian citizens in handcuffs on a military plane.
How would you like to be the pilot of a plane? You got two pilots up there, and you got 300 people sitting in a plane, every one of them either a murderer, a drug lord, a kingpin of some kind, a head of the mob, or a gang member, and you're flying that plane. It's not going to end well. Do you ever see the movie Con Air? That's what, yeah, except here's the difference. The people in Con Air were actors. They weren't nearly as tough as these guys.
Trump was on the front nine at Doral when he heard Colombia was refusing deportation flights. He immediately posted that Colombia would be hit with 25% tariffs, going up to 50% the following week. Didn't take long for AOC to start complaining about the price of coffee going up. Coffee hit a 45-year high under Biden, but now she cares about prices. Before Trump even finished the round, the Colombian president caved and offered his own plane to personally pick up the migrants. Trump has a mandate from the people, and he's using it. Just the threat of tariffs alone trounced Trudeau out of Canada, made Mexico reinstitute remain in Mexico, forced Colombia to take their criminals back, and brought Denmark to the table to negotiate Greenland.
This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration the way he's attacking things, and the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this
in the way he's going about things.
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had in an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
CNN's hosts are calling their own polls fake news. I would never do that at Fox. You notice what CNN's not showing on their screens? Protests. During the campaign, CNN said Trump's mass deportations were illegal, immoral, and straight out of Nazi Germany. And now that he's carrying them out, the whole country's like, did you see the Chiefs game? The American people were ready for change, and Trump's winning the battle for hearts and minds. The New York Times admits the right owns the culture, and the left is losing the battle of ideas. For the first time in 4 years, people feel like Washington listened to them.
What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House. And they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about, look at it, this is the latest, look at him, here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing.
They said Trump couldn't win, tariffs didn't work, and he wouldn't deport. They were wrong about everything. This is what representative government is supposed to look like. They told you it was impossible because they never tried. And now, here we are, just a week in, and it looks like anything is possible. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.